Welcome to another session with the YEV team. This is essentially an EV podcast live show to talk about everything to do with EVs and in a balanced way. And there's a lot to talk about today. There's the Geneva Motorshow. There's developments
Brussels.
on Teslas. And sorry, what's that, Kev?
You mean Brussels?
Oh,
You just said Geneva.
It's a good start.
About Geneva
Solid
earlier,
start.
wasn't it? Solid, always solid. Talk about Brussels Motor Show. Thanks, Kev. All the upgrades that Tesla are having, and some news in the grants arena for HGVs. Alex, Kev, where should we start off?
Right, let's start with something close to your heart then, Tim, shall we? Had a nice email drop into my inbox today, a press release about the new Tesla Model 3 standard, which has had quite a price reduction for the UK. Now starts at 37,990, and it's got a slight range uplift from the original standard, I believe, because it's 322 miles WLTP. You keep the glass roof, which you lost on the Model Y. Well, you didn't technically you still had the glass roof on the Model Y standard, just had a cover over it or under it, should we say. You lose the rear screen. You get cloth and vegan leather seats, so you have a mix, I guess, similar to the old style seats you used to have in cars. You know, you used to have half leather seats in your old Rover SRI or something like that.
I can never unhear some guy I interviewed years ago who, I don't know if I should name him or not, but he said vegan leather, or as we used to call it, vinyl. Because it kind of is the same thing, isn't it? It's a bit of a, yeah.
It's just looks posher now. So yeah, I mean, what do you think? I mean, there are some financing deals now at $299 a month if you have it over enough time. Which, I mean, if you look, there's some quite big deposits for some of those. So
don't forget about deposit. You always have to, they'll always tie you in. They're always like, oh, only that a month. Yeah, $5,000 deposit. It's like
for only five. I've seen
it was a bit
forecast for 8 or 9.
I'd say just go up a little bit, Tim. 5 for that price a month. Yeah, that was the PCP. The PCH was a lot lower deposit.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting news from Tesla. The fact that, obviously the Y less expensive version came out. So there's been a lot in the media about that. Now the 3s come as well. And I was hearing also about the architecture that they're updating, first on the Tesla Robotaxi and later on the other models, sort of 2027, because they've seen that obviously China have really pushed the boundaries in terms of charging speed. Tesla have always really been good there, like 250 kilowatts from 2019, if not before. So they've decided to now kind of follow China on that basis, and they're pushing for 500 kilowatt charging on their models, taking the architecture, a revised version from the Cybercab, and then filtering that down through the models. So it'd be interesting to see how Tesla get on with that, which is exciting news, because I think that's something that I think was lacking from the new Model 3 and Model Y. I think they should have done it earlier than they did. However, as we've spoken about in the previous episodes, Tesla are focusing more on efficiency and miles per kilowatt and getting the most out of that kilowatt rather than big, massive batteries, fast charging speed.
This is the thing: is you reach a point where it's not really worth having you reach a point where the charging speeds almost become irrelevant, because you don't need to stop to have something where you can stop for 2 minutes. And you also, the same with the battery stuff, when you get to a point where you've got an excess of battery capacity, we've talked about this on previous episodes, but once you reach a certain sort of ceiling with that, above that, it kind of becomes a bit irrelevant really to add that. So yeah, I think it's better to focus on efficiency and let people go further on what they've got.
No, absolutely.
I mean, the other thing is, of course, the infrastructure side as well. It's all very well having 500 kilowatt charging, but unless you've got the infrastructure to support it, you're still limited on the so it's a bit like was it BYD last year saying about having they had some excessively fast charging speeds being sort of revealed, and everyone's going to oh, this is, it's like, no, there's a whole other generation of cars and a whole other generation of infrastructure that's needed before you can do that. This isn't going to be like, oh, right, now you can go and just use it. It's not there yet.
I remember, actually, because I'm sure we'll talk about EHGVs towards the end, but the Tesla Semi, the version 2, was seen at charging at 1,206 kilowatts. So bear in mind the battery size on those things are about, I think it's about 500 kilowatts. The range is between 500 and 600 miles, but being able to go from 10% to 80% in such a short period of time with that charging speed. And I know that the European manufacturers are doing really, really well in terms of getting up to that megawatt charging. So using that MCS charger, which is triangular, it looks like America have got the same style of charging plug, which is great news. But it just shows that heavy goods transport it's not going to be long until it's going to be replacing a hell of a lot of diesel soon. It's just getting that infrastructure in, as Alex was talking about earlier, getting the power, getting the infrastructure in there, rolling out those vehicles and filling up that use case.
Yeah, so what do we with that price point now of new Model 3, I mean, it does seem to make it compete with a lot more stuff lower down. I mean, I'm trying to think, what at 322 miles, what are you competing with then? I'm trying to think what can do that sort of miles. You've got Kona, the new Kona can do it.
I'd say other cars, other Model 3s. I actually think the problem with that model is that it's all very well having a low-down trim. People in the UK don't tend to buy them. Most people go into the showrooms based on seeing this kind of low-end price and end up doing a walk up to the next model version. I don't think you'll see lots of them on the roads, but it's good for making headlines. That's always my interpretation of it. It's like base spec, with the wheel trims on it. Well, the Teslas have wheel trims, don't they? Quite high up, reasonably high up the range. But back in the days when those would have hidden some pretty hideous steel wheels. Not all steel wheels are hideous, by the way. I'm not dissing the steel wheel, but back in the days where you would get a walk up through the range, there would you'd have this kind of price point version, and people in the UK don't really buy it anyway.
But also, it depends on the monthly payment, because most people, as a generalisation, pay on a monthly payment. So it's really down to residuals. And if the cheapy one hasn't got as much a good residual, it actually might only be another £10 or £20 a month to have the all singing, all dancing version or the mid spec one. So it's really just down to residuals and the whole piece, really, isn't it?
That's why I used to get more sport than SE versions of things like the Audi A3, where there was way more demand for like Sport and S line than there was for the kind of the entry level SE. So you just never really saw the SE was available and it rode better than any of the rest of them in the range, but no one bought it.
I really want to I really want to bore people with my Audi A3 SE to Sport knowledge from 2008 to 2015, but I don't think this is the appropriate time. But if anyone is interested, please email me at chargeheads at.
We can pick that one up after the call, can't we? Yeah.
Okay, sorry, yeah. Me and Alex will have a good chat about that later. If you want to join us, then maybe it's a separate podcast.
We should have a Patreon with extra time afterwards, tune into us boring.
What really excites me about the SE model on the A3 is the fact that you used to get cruise control and dual climate control, but when they went to 2009 and onwards, when they facelifted it, they got rid of all of that, had just aircon and no cruise control, and that was very upsetting. And you also lost the wooden trim.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
isn't it funny what you were saying, eh?
So Janae, I need to do it again. Brussels. Brussels. What was happening in Brussels?
This. Do you want to go first, Alex? Because you probably want to talk about the brand that you love.
Brussels has kind of come out of well, that's not the brand I love, but Brussels has kind of come out of the woodwork as being quite a significant show. It's interesting. I mean, back when I was doing motor shows twice a year, it was always Geneva and either Paris or Frankfurt. So you'd have one in March, and then one in September. And now, I mean, CES. I mean, I've only been to CES once, and there was a tiny little area for cars. Now CES is kind of part of the motor show calendar, and then also you've got Brussels in Europe, which is picking up quite a lot of launches. So actually, it's reasonably busy this year. I mean, you've pushed me into talking about the Vauxhall Astra, but I'm going to lead on the Vauxhall Astra because you've led me in on it. I don't think it's the most significant launch there. I'd actually go as far as to say I think I preferred it pre-facelift, but Astra Electric, quite an interesting kind of car because it feels so very ordinary in a good way. Don't see very many of them on the road. I think most people go into a showroom and end up picking up a Grandland or a Mocha instead. But you've got a small, slightly larger battery on the new one. They've gone from 54 to 58 kilowatt hours, which means you get about another 20 or so miles of range. Other than that, continues on what the old one did, which is to be a very, very comfortable long distance car and a very easy thing to live with. estate or hatchback. So
What about the sporty one, the GSE? That looks amazing, right?
well, the Mock has got the GSE. The Astra's got the GSE with the plug-in hybrid system. So there's no high-end sporty Astra yet. But I can imagine it's only a matter of time before it gets that.
The only problem I find with the Astra is I think the Peugeot version of it looks better.
See,
The 308 estate looks quite. You see a lot of police cars in the 308 estate, and they look quite angry with that kind of, especially when they've got all the like reflective stuff on them.
I'm on the fence with this. I think that the Peugeot interior-wise is fussier than the Vauxhall. The Vauxhall's got a kind of almost borderline drab, but it was really functional interior. And I think the Peugeot looks better as an estate, and I think the Astra looks better as a hatch. I think the Astra estate's an oddly proportioned thing. It's a very good estate, though.
Yeah, I had it on test. It was quite efficient.
Did you guys see the new Renault Twingo? I mean, I've seen a few spy shots before, but at the show it looked. I mean, I wouldn't have one myself. It did look really striking, really a bit like the Renault 5, right?
Renault is so on it at the moment. We're really, really on it. And I don't know why there's some other brands aren't kind of getting us on board with this. I mean, Volkswagen is sort of teasing that they might sort of trickle into it a bit, but they're just not. Renault is doing so well at kind of just really, tapping into that kind of nostalgic side of things and just doing it in a really good way.
There's a big but here, right? Is I would never ever touch a French car because of reliability. Do we know actually what the reliability is like of these Renaults, these electric Renaults?
Well, it's too early to say, isn't it? I mean, as it always is with anything new, though. I mean, we had a Citroen C4 Space Tourer for 4 years. It looks like an angry egg, basically. It's a great family car. It was faultless for 4 years. We didn't have any issues with it whatsoever. Although towards the end of its life, it was developing a bit of an appetite for oil. Now I have a 34-year-old car in the garage that has a supercharger on it and naturally burns a bit of oil through that, but nothing. I mean, very, very little compared to the little 3-cylinder PureTech engine.
That's the thing, because I'm used car, sheepskin jacket, all the rest of it. I'm just interested in what these cars are like after 4 or 5 years time, 80,000 plus miles on it. I'm just really interested to see how they stand up in terms of reliability. And the Renault Zoe's not had an awful reputation, although obviously a lot of them are long in the tooth now and have got a few issues. But I think they standed the test of time as well, pretty well for what they are. Bear in mind they're first generation, other than the Fluence electric cars. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see people's thoughts on electric Renault. Has anyone in the chat, anyone listening, whether it's right now live or later on, they've seen any issues with Renault electric cars in terms of reliability? Really interested to find out. So
the big thing with the original Zoes used to be drop links and top mounts on the suspension, because it was the interesting thing with the Zoe was it was quite a parts bin car, even though it didn't look it. So the suspension was off a Megane, except the Megane didn't weigh as much as the Zoe. So they had issues with top mounts and drop links because they used to go through them at a rate of knots. And weirdly, it's a cheap part, but I think they've improved it now because the replacement ones seem to last longer. So I think they must have changed the design based on that.
1.6 tons those used to weigh. They were really heavy cars for what they were. I remember the first time I met Kev, actually, it would have been at the MPG Marathon in 2015, maybe. And I had my Zoe long termer there, and the AA were filling the tires. We're topping up the tires.
For the Renault Zoe.
Yeah, it's a
38 psi in the tires. Really, really heavy for what it was.
There we go. Malcolm Fowler's, he's got a Renault Zoe with 114,000 miles, still works fine. What battery is it? And do you know what the battery degradation is? Malcolm, fire it in. That'd be really interesting to know. Okay, so what about
38 was a bit low for the Zoe tyres. They used to wear the inside edges unless you went to 40. So Renault did them really low. So they do the inside edges on the tyres, unless if you put them up to 40, the tyres lasted much longer and it actually handled a bit better.
Well, Tesla's 41, isn't it?
It weighed almost exactly twice the Polo. The Polo's 826 with a half tank of fuel, and the Zoe was 1666.
Yeah, now we're going to test you,
which is crazy.
How heavy is the Megane that it used the suspension from?
That would have been about 12 or 1300 at the most, I would have thought. So,
There we go. That was the one with 114,000 miles. Malcolm's put. It's a ZE50 battery, 91% state of health. Has it got DC charging? Be interesting to know, because I think the ZE50, some of them have DC, some of them don't they?
Yes.
Commuter branch line, I snagged a 2026 M3 rear-wheel drive before the switch to M3 standard. I wanted cooled seats, pleather seats, black badges, front camera, indicator store, 0%, 3K deposit contribution from Tesla. Happy with that?
Yeah, they're doing a lot of interest-free stuff, Tesla, at the moment.
Yeah, lots. Yeah, which is
I
good.
think leading on from the Zoe, I mean, probably the best thing to dig into from Brussels is the Kia EV2. I mean, it's a real sign of how much things have kind of moved on, because it's not. I mean, it's kind of Picanto sized or slightly bigger than a Picanto, sort of B segment SUV. Really sensibly spec little car. That, a couple of battery options, so either 42 or 61 kilowatt hours, just under 200 miles or just under 280 miles of range. I think they're going to be quite a lot of those that sell. I mean, I actually. It's gonna we're going into that territory now where Renault is with cars like the 4, aren't we? I mean, it's going to go up against that and things like the Mocha, and other bits and pieces. You know, there's quite a crowded little segment of little compact electric SUVs to go up against, and it's got quite a long range against those. I mean, anything got a bigger battery than that, other than things like the Kona and the Nero, Kev?
No, not that I can think of. 61 it's a funny size, because I can't think of any other product in the Kia range that has that battery. Because I thought it was going to have the smaller one. I initially thought it was going to be the 49 kilowatt hour, which is the one that's in the Insta and stuff. But the Insta's a tiny car. But it's like, so I don't know where they seem to be. Kia seem to be flexibly choosing their battery sizes now. They're not. You traditionally think of a car brand like Stellantis to just pick the sizes they have. But this is a new size or new capacity that I haven't seen in any other model. So it'd be interesting to see what else it goes in that pack. Because there's probably going to be a Hyundai equivalent, surely.
I'm going to go a little bit like, I don't know if you want to call it philosophical, but are we going to be not talking about battery sizes at some point, do you think? Because why do we talk about battery sizes? Is it because we want to know about the range? Is it about the weight? You know, is there going to be a point in a couple of years' time where we've got, you know, there was also news about solid state batteries from
Donut Labs in CES.
Donut Labs, who did
the people who own Verge,
the motorbike that got the world record with Sarah Sloman and Sam,
and I was a support driver on that. And if you wish to see it in a Guinness World Record book, if you go to Finland, we're actually in the Finnish Guinness World Record book. I'm still trying to work out how to get a Finnish Guinness World Record book without driving to Finland. I mean, lots of car tests, they do say they want me to go a long way in them to see the efficiency. Do you think Finland would be acceptable? You know, just say, oh, by the way, I'm off to Finland to get a record book.
I don't think that's extracting the urine at all. That seems like a very sensible test. I'd go.
That sounds like the YEV road trip in Rusty to me. That's what it sounds like. So what was I talking about? Yeah, solid state
battery sizes. What I think is interesting in this case is that it's that bottom end of the market where you can have this either based on, because there's a lot of people who will be absolutely fine with that 42 kilowatt hour battery, won't they? You know, and then you can have that kind of price point version of it where, you know, I've said earlier that people don't necessarily buy them. There's a lot of people for whom that would be perfectly adequate second car. Or you take the step up to the larger pack, and you're probably okay for a lot of families to be absolutely fine with that as a solo car. So it kind of caters for two markets. I think it's relevant in this case because not all the Kia products do. I mean, I know I drove the EV5 a few weeks ago, and that definitely doesn't. That's only got one pack. So I just think it's nice to have those two options. I think that's kind of helping to, because they could have just launched it with a larger pack and gone 280 miles, you know, best in segment class. But you're giving people that option, and then if they don't buy it, I suppose you withdraw it from the range, don't you? But it all helps to make these vehicles cheaper to buy.
Yeah. And Dean's just mentioned, you know, Kia have got their EV2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, PV5. I think they've got a few too many models, if I'm being honest. I think between the EV2 and the EV6, I think they could probably lose them all there. That's my personal opinion.
And that's not all, because there's rumored to be soon an EV1.
I think the EV3 is the best product Kia sells at the moment. I think EV5, the extra size doesn't really give you much in terms of actual kind of real world usability. The EV5 is being compared to the Sportage, and that's kind of how they're pitching it. But I think the EV3 gives you everything you really need. It gives you Sportage-esque space. Most families don't really need more flexibility than that unless they need a third row of seats. I think it's a great little car, the EV3. And I think, I think the gap is slightly further. I think the EV3 is so good that it kind of makes the EV5 less necessary unless you've got a big dog that you want to carry around in it or something.
So where does the EV4 sit in that range then?
It's less SUV-like, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it just a hatchback? It's kind of a hatchback EV3, isn't it? Because it's got slightly better range than the EV3 with the same battery packs, I believe. But they do a fastback one as well.
But if they're using the same toolkit, they can just keep firing these out and just see which ones stick, and ditch a couple of models if they don't. So
I suppose if it doesn't cost them that much more money to have those little differences, which I know to some customers might make the difference. Like, I don't want an SUV, I want something more golf-like. I suppose if you put the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5 all next to each other, I think it would be quite interesting, because they all kind of look the same, don't they? Certainly from the front and the kind of front side like diagonal profile. That's what I've seen, but I'd love to see them all together in a row. It'd just be quite amusing to me to see that.
Having raved about Renault, the Renault range is quite crowded in the middle as well, with all the same sort of stuff, because you've got what's it called, the Austral, which is available with 7 seats, which is the Espace, but not in the UK, and then you get it as a coupe, which is the Rafale, and then you've got the Capture, which everyone knows about, but that's then available as what's the coupe version of that one called? They do that as a slightly longer one that I can't remember the name of at the moment. And then you've got the electric ones as well. You've got the the Megane, which is technically not an SUV but kind of looks like an SUV, and then you've got the Scenic, which is a slightly bigger Megane. They're all kind of very all sort of crammed into one area and all look kind of similar as well. Symbios as well. Yes, there's the Symbios, and there's another one that the name is driving me crazy. It begins with an A, but that's another one where it's getting quite crowded. So I think there's a lot of kind of people testing the water at the moment, isn't there, and seeing what sticks.
Yeah. But isn't that what? I was going to say, like Dean mentioned, as well as Renault, Kia are doing really well. Hyundai. It's great to see these brands doing so well in so many markets. So go on, Kev.
Yeah. Do you think though? I remember, having this many models in the range, wasn't that what started to make the German brands come unstuck? Like BMW had so many variants, they ended up like cutting a lot of them because you could get like coupes versions, and they ended up diluting their market share with themselves.
Well, the 3 and 4 series, about 10 years ago, you had the 3 series as the Estate and the wagon, and then you had a long wheelbase kind of fastback one, the GT. And then you had the 4 Series as a coupe, a 4-door coupe, and a convertible. And then if you lump the X3 and X4 into that, you've then got coupe and boxy versions of the. It's just it becomes a little bit kind of confusing if you walk into a showroom and you've got kind of basically multiple different versions of the same vehicle. But obviously, it's working for them because they can do it all off a toolkit at the moment. So.
Yes, indeed. I think those brands have definitely. They're developing, they're growing, which, like I said, it's great to see. So, what else was there? Do you think that would
possibly worth talking about the other end of the Kia range? So, if the EV2 is your ultra rational city car, there's GT versions of the 3, 4, and 5, which all came out at the same event. Now, these have got a little bit of that kind of spice that's come down from the Ioniq 5N. So it's got the kind of simulated gear shifts, which I wanted to hate so badly, if you remember, a year ago, and actually kind of. That little bit of interactivity kind of really worked really well. These are not as powerful as that. They're about the 280 horsepower mark, and they've got kind of chassis upgrades, steering retuning, performance tires, and things like that. Quite interesting, I reckon, all 3 of those. And that's, I think, where the 4 might come into its own. I don't know that I want a hot version of an EV3. I think an EV4, I can kind of see it. An EV3 is a little bit. Yeah. I love the EV3 as a family car, as a little kind of. I think it's a great product. I don't know if I get it as a GT. Same with the EV9, that they've done the kind of hot version of that. I just don't really get it in the same way.
I can understand why they did it on the EV9, because you get your SQ7 like type of vehicle, can't you? But 'Cause,
Terrifying with that much weight, though. I don't think I'd want to. I just don't like the idea of almost 3 tons of flying SUV. I mean, it's 3 tons unladen. That's without anyone on board. So stick 7 people, stick a team of rugby players on board, or most of a team of rugby players on board, and you've got quite a lot of weight there.
Dean's got a good question. He said, "Is the Donut Labs battery genuine or fake?" Lots of reports saying it's like the CATL saying it's fake news. I just think it's the same old thing with any solid state battery. It's a bit like Toyota saying, "Oh, yeah, we've got solid state coming for the last 10 years." I think it's just to try and get more investment in the company. That's why I see it, how I see it. But I don't know. I'm not sure. What about you?
But you got to think that, it's come out of Verge, and Verge did weird things with bikes. Like, there's no other thing that has that back wheel in the bike thing. So they're kind of known for going the extremes and doing the kind of mad things. What other motorbike could you stick your whole arm through the back wheel and stuff? It's like, so I don't know. I think, they've always had a lot of innovation in there. I mean, maybe they can be that dynamic and stuff. Being small, they can be agile and test things quicker than maybe a big company that's kind of got a lot of kind of bureaucracy around stuff. The same way as, Tesla used to be really agile with their early stuff, swapping and changing stuff quickly. I mean, we'd see when they put it on the bike, because they'll have to go and do another record if they put it on the bike, because the bike will do 300 miles, won't it? Because it's 33 kilowatt hour pack, they claim, with solid state. That's a lot for a motorbike.
Yeah. It's just wait and see, isn't it, at the end of the day? Because I think with solid state, it's either people can get the range, but they can't get the reliability, or one of the particular topics of the battery which needs to be there isn't quite there. So reliability, longevity, safety, and weight as well, and scalability, of course. But yeah, what else can we talk about from the Brussels point of view? I'm just trying to think a little bit of a list here.
Oh, there's one thing which I know Alex has driven a variant of this. Is Hyundai have now launching the Staria in Europe as an electric one, but I believe you've driven a fuel version of the Staria in Korea, haven't you?
Yeah, the Staria is one of those cars that always, I don't know if anyone hasn't seen it. Trying to imagine this kind of really smooth, futuristic looking van with this light bar across the front. It's a cool looking thing. And actually we saw them. So I went out to South Korea for the Ioniq 6 sort of preview launch back in 2022. And they were there, they were everywhere, like white ones and black ones. And it just looked great in those kind of solid colors. And they had an opportunity for us to drive them, so I got to take a Staria camper van, diesel, and I was really disappointed by it because it drives like a van, and not in a kind of. I mean, I've owned a van, and the Peugeot, the Rifter, and the Rifter drove reasonably well like a car. This felt like a really old van. I mean, the diesel engine didn't help, but it looked like it's always looked like a vehicle that should be electric. It's kind of very smooth and kind of, almost grille-less, and it's this kind of really futuristic looking vehicle, and it just felt really, really old to drive. It had the 2.2 litre engine out of the diesel engine out of the Sorento and the Santa Fe, and it was just it felt really, really old.
Isn't it based on the PV5 though?
No,
it's not.
No, it's an old van chassis. It's like the old iLoad or i800 or something like that. It felt really, really old to drive. But it looked brilliant. It's got real curbside kind of presence. It looks great in the metal. So I think having an electric version could kind of solve some of that. Actually, I think might kind of bring it forward. But it does feel. It just feels like a van in ways that it didn't. I was really quite surprised by. I mean, all the Hyundai and Kia stuff is so well done these days that I was, it was a bit of a surprise to kind of drive something that didn't feel particularly polished. But it is a van.
I wonder if that was, as you said, the diesel engine being an older diesel engine, and maybe electric solves that. And it does look as if it's been modified, but it's as someone said, it's going to have
ride quality and steering and just everything about it. It felt really agricultural. I was really, really surprised. It doesn't fit the way it looks at all, and a lot of vans don't drive like this much felt like, don't feel as much like a van as this does.
Well, the commuter branch lines just said the minicab market is screaming out for 8-9-seater EV, decent range. But what's that Maxus called? Because there is that SUV that Maxus.
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
the Mifa.
You got it. So they did like a small
Mifa
minivan
9
and then
or
a bigger
something.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was. I was quite impressed with it, to be honest, because it was a really early car on the market. I don't know how good they are, but they weren't cheap. That's for sure.
That's the problem. Is the price? I think was the issue on that, because it was like, I think the one I looked at, it had like controls in the seats, but it was pushing above 80k, and it's like, that's a lot for a Maxus.
Mifa 9 and Mifa 7, but you can get one. Oh, yeah, about 42 grand. Actually, I'm not show you a white one because that's just a bit boring, but let me show you this one. Okay. That's what it looks like for those that are watching the screen. Yeah, I've sat in one. I thought that the interior was nice, got all the bells and whistles. But yeah, it is a Maxus. So SIAC technology, good batteries, obviously, because it's the MG battery modules in that. So good from a battery degradation and reliability point of view. But yeah.
Volvo's got one like that as well, haven't they?
It was blinged up indeed.
There's a little pocket of these kind of slightly blinged up Chinese market vans. So Volvo have got one, and I can't think what the Volvo one's called. But then there's one of the other brands has got it. It's not Link. Must be Geely's got it. One of the other Geely Group brands has got the same vehicle, but obviously de-Volvoed. It's quite an interesting looking thing. And then you've got Lexus have got one as well, haven't they? They've got oh god, what's that one called? But that's a hybrid, obviously not electric. So
Dean's made a really good point, which I completely forgot about, which was the Mercedes CLA electric won the car of the year, even though it can't charge on 400-volt rapid charger network, which is in the UK for DC charging 95% of the network.
I read somewhere they fixed that now.
Sorry, go on.
I've read somewhere they've had a rethink and it can do it now. It can go on. Yeah. It was just, it's like, the same as if you have any of the Kia Hyundai products, they have a DC to DC converter on board. So they take the 400 and up it to 800, which is why you'll find on some 400-volt chargers, you top out at about 85, 90, because it's on board DC to DC converter can't do above that. So I think they've decided that they're going to have to put the DC to DC converter on it. I think it was a short-sighted move not to fit it, because obviously, as you say, you'd limit the number of and people, general public, wouldn't understand. They just say it doesn't work because they wouldn't. Generally, people don't understand the difference between 800 and 400-volt charging. As we're in the sector, we kind of do.
Yeah.
So, I must admit, I'd be really interested to see Kevin in the CLA because the range on that thing is pretty astonishing, really. Merc have a fix inbound for the CLA if you want to spend more cash buying it. Yeah, well, this is I suppose the thing, and Kevin might be able to give us a first-hand account of this, is that you might maybe have considered the Mercedes, but I would expect that the Mercedes monthly payment or the actual cost of the thing compared to like a Tesla Model 3 is like astronomical, right? What's the price of that thing?
Well, you think it actually,
Not
when you look at the range on the new Teslas, 466, there's not a huge amount in it. And speaking of range, and we mentioned Volvo, the new Volvo XC60 is going to have a higher WLTP than the iX3 Neue class. It's over 500 WLTP on the new XC60.
Wow.
500 kilometers, not 500 miles.
Miles, they've said.
Okay.
So they've said they've deliberately aimed it and it beats the iX3 on WLTP.
Thing is, we're going against physics here. I mean, like if you think about the CLA and the shape of a CLA, that's going to have an advantage in a lot of ways in terms of, or it should have an advantage in terms of that being that kind of elongated, sort of four-door coupe shape ought to be better than anything SUV shapes. It'll be interesting to see what the saloon versions of these vehicles start to do.
Yeah, promising over 500 miles of WLTP range, ultra fast 400 kilowatt charging, and
800 volt architecture.
Wow. Okay. Full reveal on the 21st of January. Lock it in your diaries, chaps. I think we need to have a look at that. 106 kilowatt hour battery, though.
Yeah,
that's out of the Polestar range, though. The
200. But wait, 211 miles in 10 minutes. So if you've got, for argument's sake, let's say you've got the capable charger, the battery's at temperature, you're at the right state of charge. 10 minutes. That's your grab a coffee, have a quick wee. If not, that's 15 minutes. 211 miles, and no one needs more than that. Let's be honest, because you're going to do 210 miles before you need to stop again.
But with that in mind, then, I mean, is that that part of the reason why you have to have a larger battery in order to kind of, because that's why you've got such a huge battery on a thing like that you wouldn't be able to hold that speed of. If you had something smaller, you wouldn't be able to hold that sort of battery charging speed for.
Sorry, I had to do the explosion, and first of all, and then. Because it does feel like we've actually made it. Because now, if you can have a 500-mile range electric car where in 10 minutes you can get 211 miles, it feels like we've made it. I felt like we need an explosion and some applause. Sorry, you can carry on now.
Now do that in something golf size with a much smaller pack. Then I think we've made it. So I'm not easily impressed. I know. No, it is an impressive set of stats. It is an impressive set of stats. He found his soundboard. So
sorry, when I get the soundboard, I'll leave it alone.
But XC60 is a popular size of Volvo, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think it's one of their best. It's their second best seller, isn't it? Now it used to be their best seller. I think the XC40's knocked it off. So, or the EX40 now is it?
Yeah, whatever. I'm trying to work out. Which is confusing. But that 106 kilowatt hour pack is also in Polestar 3 soon, because Polestar 3 gets 800 volt architecture the same. So there's a lot of sharing of Geely technology between them. So I would imagine that's a very similar pack and architecture. It's probably the same architecture, I would have thought, if it's shared within group.
Well, if Tesla Model 3 long-range rear-wheel drive can do 460 odd miles WLTP with a smaller battery, and that goes to 500 kilowatt charging, arguably that will probably charge just in 10 minutes and give you that same sort of mileage, won't it? Maybe even potentially more. So
it does feel like that brute force thing that we've argued about before on this, where I think we need to be getting to the point where we can get long ranges out of smaller batteries and faster charging out of smaller batteries, as opposed to just keeping on adding mass and materials into these cars. I do agree it's impressive, and I think that the reality of it is that there's plenty of people who will look at those figures and want to buy it and don't really care about everything that goes into it. But I think as an industry, there will come a point where they'll need to start really thinking about the efficiency in ways that they're not, that at the moment it is being met by brute force, isn't it?
Yeah, and I genuinely think that Tesla's doing it. I know their interiors are boring, and I know that their CEO rubs a lot of people the wrong way. But from that point of view, I do think they've ticked the box there.
Yeah, always have.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is there's nothing fundamentally wrong with the product. As you say, it's not. Some people would say it's not interesting, as we've joked about in the past. It's become the Mondeo. It's become just the standard car that
I saw a Mark 1 Mondeo today. I was like, oh my goodness, look at this. Alex and Kev would be amazed. And then I saw a facelift at the car show I was at this morning. But yeah, like a Mark 1 Mondeo. I was like in awe, because I hadn't seen one forever. Sorry.
And we've got to look at the improvements in efficiency, because I remember doing an MPG marathon when Alex was in a Mark 1 Mondeo, and the efficiency wasn't that great on it, considering, compared to the more modern cars on that event.
Yeah, but it was a 1.8 litre petrol with a 5-speed box. I mean, it was pretty. It wasn't a particularly, modern spec. It predated obviously the rush for diesel stuff.
It had velour seats, though. It was the posh one.
Nice.
It had the velour seats.
Love
and
a
pen holder. And a pen holder.
Pen holder.
Nice. Yeah, a pen holder. Yeah.
Nice.
Where do we?
Love it. I've lost my train of thought. We were with Brussels, weren't we?
Yeah.
We were in Brussels still.
We've left Brussels. Have we left Brussels, or are we still in Brussels? I mean, there was the Mazda, which, to be honest, the Mazda 6, which is pretty much a knockoff of a Chinese car with Mazda badges on and hiked in price. Is it the Chang'an?
It's already sold in what's it called? Australia and China have already got it. But yeah, I mean, it's CX60 equivalent, so a popular sector, bound to sell loads of those into fleets. I'm more interested in the 6E, which I've seen some electric 6 puns for that, danger, high voltage, and all that sort of thing, which is kind of inevitable. But yeah, I mean, a sensible addition to the range.
Yeah. Well,
We've got plenty of vehicles at that size, haven't we? Plenty of stuff
down the
that does
bottom
very
of the
similar.
hill, down at the bottom of the hill where I live, there's someone who works at Mazda, and he's got a massive driveway, and all he's got is Mazdas on the driveway. There was the Mazda SU, not the MP. I can't remember what it's called. Is it Primacy? Anyway,
the Primacy, yeah.
The MX-30, like Mazda 3, just loads of Mazdas. It's just good cars, good reliable cars, but
they are good cars. Yeah,
they're in a little bit of trouble, aren't they? At the moment, they don't seem to be. Other than the MX-5, arguably a very exciting car that we touched on a few episodes ago, they haven't really got anything to really kind of move things forward, have they? Really?
And yet, every time I get behind the wheel of one, I always think, God, this
you're
feels
on mute,
really
mate.
well sorted. Me?
Oh, who's on? Am I on mute?
Oh. What's going on? The sound's gone a bit funky.
How's on yours? Yeah.
Yeah, you went really loud.
Oh, sorry, everyone. Yeah, Mazda.
Yeah. The MX-5 is a bit long in the tooth now, though, isn't it?
10 years old, 11 years old nearly.
That's old for cars, of models of cars, isn't it?
Yeah. Ancient.
It was at Brussels, showing off its sleek lines and lovely lightweightness. But what else was there? So the ID Polo was there. Obviously, we spoke about that last week. Nothing else really. That concept, that Audi concept. Did you guys see that?
What was that?
The Audi concept that was at Brussels.
No, I missed that.
That looked tasty. Like Audi R8 go back in time kind of tasty.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I saw it, but not at Brussels. It's the one I'm thinking of. It's the one I saw. It came out a few weeks ago. The one that's like a big silver what?
Yeah, C car. Concept C. Sorry. So mature. Concept C.
Yeah, it's that's the one. Yeah, the one that comes. It looks a little bit like. Well, it looks a little bit like the car that teased the original R8, the one that was in iRobot. That's what it reminds me of. Will Smith's car from iRobot.
The car I really liked.
Tesla bots to fight off now, isn't he? So Optimus, busload of Optimus to come and fight off.
Yes, I need to watch that again.
The car I really liked, the Audi, that was the one that the late Ken Block developed. Remember the electric car that the Hoonigan car? Because he had a contract with Audi. That was because they show it in Vegas?
Yeah,
on the strip and stuff.
Yeah, that was an absolute weapon, wasn't it? It's like built on the kind of Quattro-esque, wasn't it?
Meant to be Quattro-esque, like a sport Quattro.
Unbelievable thing.
Yeah,
Electricana. I think if you look it up online. What else was there? So
Arcana, the Renault Arcana. That's the coupe version of the bloody Capture. I'm glad I got there eventually. Yes.
Yeah. Zika was there at the Brussels show. Zika. I mean, do we think Zika are going to come to the UK? I've seen I saw one in Europe when I did the EV rally in the Cyberster. I was parked next to one, and it's quite an imposing thing because is Zika owned by Geely as well?
Yeah.
They
do their touring car stuff. They're kind of Cyan Racing versions of their cars look great. I don't know if you remember seeing those kind of basically like a Polestar Blue, the old pre-EV Polestar Blue, like all the old Volvo Polestar versions of the Volvo used to be. Really cool looking vehicles.
I did see there was an MG Cyberster there, and I was just thinking, I've not actually seen a single Cyberster on the UK roads.
No, same.
I have
since mine,
but I was in it, so.
Do you have a mirror like in front of you? You see yourself.
I mean, to be fair, when we were driving through Brussels and stuff, driving to Brussels, it did look quite good. A bright yellow Cyberster with the roof down in the reflections.
Why do you think that car hasn't sold? Is it price or is it the annoying doors?
I don't think it's the annoying doors. I think it's probably price and brand. It's a good product. The doors, novelty of the doors wears off really quickly. But yeah, I mean it's fun. It's a fun car.
There's a few around me because there's the MDG dealership, but there's a few that have been registered and sold around me. They do sell. It's weird because it's hard to appeal to, because obviously it's trying to appeal to people who are now kind of got a bit of cash because they've retired and liked the MG when they were growing up. But obviously it's got to appeal to that, and that market generally doesn't necessarily want an electric version of the MG.
Well, MG's got the same problem Mini's got, haven't they? Because people who like old Minis, generally speaking, although I know people who go against this, but there is a big kind of divide, isn't there, between people who like classic Minis and people who don't see the modern Mini as being a proper Mini. You know, the BMW Mini as being, it's just a BMW. I think MG's probably got the same issue in some respects, where they've got people who won't touch the modern MG stuff because it's not a proper MG. So yeah, they possibly have that kind of issue going for them as well. And what else do you have in the MG showrooms to kind of go alongside it? Where's the hot versions of the regular MG stuff? Well, you've got the X Power on the MG. Was it MG4?
Yeah.
There's not an awful lot of.
We had an X Power at the Chargeheads meet. I was very excited. Saw the orange calipers. I was like,
Yes. The caliper covers, aren't they, on that?
They are caliper covers, yep. I remember driving, this was at the car show, EV car show down Norfolk Way, and I got to drive one on like a runway, but it wasn't a runway, it was like single track road, but I was allowed to accelerate and brake hard, and I accelerated to 70 and absolutely, nailed the brakes. And I tell you what, that was a scary braking experience, I'm telling you now. But fast, it is a fast car. I think they're about 18 grand now, buying them used. So
I think they missed a trick with the X Power, because I think it was too cheap when they sold it new. They could have added 1,000 more and put actual Brembos on it, because their other stuff has it. So I was in the IM6, which again is, it's not ludicrously expensive.
I don't think that car's doing well, because a lot of I don't know, it seems like there's a really big buzz about the IM5 and the IM6 arguably, because the stats were really, really good. But I've seen quite a few reviews recently, and having seen it in person, I don't know if it's kind of captured the imagination of as many people as I thought it initially would, because of its, really fast charging speed, performance, battery size, all the rest of it. I was just, it's interesting on that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering, would that help? Because I was thinking that might help sell Cybersters, because you've now gone up that price bracket. So you've got stuff in between the ordinary MGs and that, because they weren't initially going to call them MG, were they? They were going to just come over as IM. In other markets, it's just IM. It's IM 5M. It's not got the MG branding at all on it.
But here's the issue, and we talked earlier about crowded model ranges. We're going to end up with crowded brands. I mean, we've got Cherry's come over with a Moda and Jaiku, and then also done Cherry as well. And you've then got Geely coming over alongside Volvo and Polestar and LEVC and Lotus. You can end up over branding. I mean, Chinese brands are still relatively new. Sorry?
It's oversaturated, you could argue. I mean, there's not even enough. I don't think there's enough space in the UK for the number of dealers that need to be out there to service all these vehicles. Bear in mind, they're electric cars; they don't need as much servicing, arguably.
True.
Although I'm sure that the brands will want to service them and make the most out of the vehicles that are out on the road. I'm just conscious that I don't want to get too far down before Commuter Branch Line putting a good point, was the Toyota Hilux electric.
Yeah, I got you.
Really important that we talk about this car or truck. So it was a dual motor electric all drive vehicle, 59.2 kilowatt hour battery, which we'll come to in a second, retaining. So it was the range was 150 to 160 miles, 715 kilogram payload, 1.6 ton towing. So I need to look up one more thing, which is charging speed, because this is kind of the similar scenario to the Isuzu when this came out, the electric Isuzu pickup, is that the battery wasn't that big, the range wasn't that amazing, but it could do the towing and the payload. But it looks like the Toyota hasn't actually got the payload and the towing compared to the Isuzu. Am I right?
But it's worth, I mean, one thing that's obviously worth remembering is that pickup tax has changed in the UK. So if you're a driver and you get a pickup truck through work, you're now taxed on it as a car. So, I mean, this will be significantly cheaper. I mean, you probably, a significantly cheaper vehicle to tax than anything else. With
they have nailed one thing that Isuzu didn't, is it's got a charging speed of 150 kilowatts, because the Isuzu was only about 75, 80 kilowatts. I think if that Isuzu had the 150 kilowatts, they'd have sold a lot more by now. But yeah, interesting. I mean, there's definitely a use case for those vehicles out there. And yeah, I'm sure the technology will get
the other thing, though, is the Isuzu, because it's not properly out yet, the charging speed was up for, it wasn't set in stone yet.
Was it not?
No, when I went to the launch, they were getting feedback and they asked what charging speed it needed to deliver. So there could well be an update for that, because they said they can be quite agile with the factory on that because it's new. Their focus was making it do what a pickup truck can do first. So making it tow the weight and have the payload.
I had a really good idea that, maybe if they spoke to one of their customers, got their telematics detail, and did a simulation of that truck with a particular charging speed, and they could work out what charging speed it needs to be to increase their feasibility. Maybe they could do a report. I think Dynamon do that. Anyway, moving swiftly on. So yeah, that was exciting to find out about. So yes, it was shown at Brussels commuter branch line. I wonder how many Cyclers have been sold to private customers paying their own money in the UK. Is it just badge and price combination? I think MG's seen how many Taycans were sold on salary sacrifice and wanted a piece of the pie. Thing is, there is so much choice out there now. 3+ years ago, Taycan was the way to go. And Thriller Forever, I don't think you've commented before. Thanks for joining in. Is 2021 or 2022 Tesla and high kilometers, like 150 kilometers, still a decent buy? I would say it all really boils down to which the car, because some cars have been looked after better than others. Do a battery test before purchasing. And 22 plate has got the newer technology, the Ryzen chip instead of the Atom chip on the previous one. And also you want to check on battery, because depending on whether you look at standard range, long range and performance, there's a variance of batteries which will also help make your decision from a longevity point of view when you're thinking about buying one with high mileage. I hope that helps. Where were we?
Well, I think we covered all the stuff from Brussels, and we were talking about where were we exactly? Yeah,
So there was a Hyundai Nexo hybrid hydrogen vehicle there, which was interesting. Anyway, moving on. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about on this chat was something that is kind of breaking news in the HGV world, and we did have that HGV chat a couple of weeks ago with Jamie Sands from from the eHGV industry from Welch's group, that the government have actually come to the party with up to £120,000 grant if you buy an electric HGV, and if you don't, that is for a 26 ton and upwards vehicle. But if you want to go for a smaller HGV from 4.25 ton to 12 ton, you could save up to £20,000 in grant. 12 ton to 18 ton, £60,000, and 18 to 26 ton, £80,000. I actually did on LinkedIn, check it out if you're interested, a TCO, so a total cost of ownership, looking at adding those grants in to see if it actually made sense to buy a HGV with that massive grant in, taking into consideration charging infrastructure costs and all the rest of it. And it did look a whole lot more rosy depending on, circumstance. So that's big news from the government, putting that in. The only challenge is it runs out the end of March. So you need to take your delivery of your electric truck before the end of March, which based on lead times, I'm not sure how possible that is.
No. The other thing is, I mean, the issues with HGVs, I mean, it's incredibly time and cost sensitive sector, isn't it? You've got to be able to the product can do more and more and more, and the prices are coming down and so on. But the issue there is always, if you need to be at a certain place at a certain time, and you turn up and a charging point is goosed or it's occupied or something, you need a very specific infrastructure. We talked about this a little bit the other week, didn't we? You need a very specific charging infrastructure that's completely dedicated, I think, to trucks, or you need a route where you can go from at point A to point B and charge at each end of the journey. So your own high-speed charging. There's a lot still to be built for HGVs, but I mean, it's all steps in the right direction, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, again, sorry to go on about Dynamon again, but we've got this single route feasibility tool, which has got all the public charging on that's suitable for HGV. And there is actually a bit of a section between Leeds and Scotland where the charging availability is really poor. On one side of the England, you've got Nissan, Sunderland, where you can charge your electric HGV. On the other side, the only one that's semi-available, it's not completely available, it's not kind of public, is a DAF dealer that have got a charger in Carlisle. So between Leeds and Scotland, that is, there's potential opportunity for a CPO to put, whether it's let's not mention any names, but a CPO, charge point operator, to put a charger there of 250, 400 kilowatts and really get a fantastic utilization on eHGVs, which, okay, there's not loads there right now, but arguably with what's going on with the grants and the progress and success I've seen so far, could be quids in.
That'd be interesting to see. It's still got a long way to go, I think.
Not as long as hydrogen, mate. If at all. But that's another story, isn't it, Alex? Okay, so anything else that we've missed in recent news? So we covered Brussels, Tesla upgrades, grants out there. Anything else that we've missed? Do you see the Tesla Model Y towing or pulling a truck out of some snow on the socials? Did anyone see that?
But I did see a Tesla Model Y it said rain in California, and this guy was sliding this Model Y around in a field, and it looked like really good fun. It was handling it really well too. I'll have to send you the link for that.
Check it out. Share it on Chargeheads Facebook. I'll tell you what, ever since we've done that Chargeheads meet, which was very successful on the first, and we've got another Chargeheads meet, any car is welcome. It's going to be on the 28th of February at Caffeine and Machine The Hill. So Alex, Kevin, I hope you can make it as well. Any cars welcome, Alex. So bring down your Polo G40.
I might be able to do that.
Yeah. I think I have a what do I have that week? I think I have a GV60.
Ooh, what have you got? GV60? That's a bit. What is it? The facelift one or something like that?
Yeah, the new pure one with the bigger battery and everything.
Ooh, yeah, that would be good to see. Actually,
I think we've had the same email chain because I went for the performance one because I'm an idiot, but I've got that at the start of February.
I didn't know there was I didn't think to ask for the performance one. I asked for the more.
Of course, you went for the flipping efficient one.
I was going for the efficiency. I was.
I was like, oh, head, heart, house. Yeah, why not?
Always heart. Well, I've got a video coming
up. Orange.
Yeah. Oof. Yes, that orange is amazing. I've got a video coming out comparing Tesla Model 3 long range to performance, giving my opinion, which is a video coming up because we've got long range and performance. I've had quite a few questions about that recently because it does seem to be, if people are looking at a Tesla Model 3 used, it tends to come up in conversation. So I've got that video coming out on Wednesday, short and sweet one. The TVR project is going well, so plenty going on there. And yeah, so if anyone's got any particular requests of what they want to hear about next week, unless there's something specific in the news, we'll be covering it, or we'll be touching, or what we're going to do, carrying on from the video from last week where we were talking about what's the best electric vehicle for you. What I thought I could do is compare, if you're doing a certain mileage, you've got a certain budget, try and categorize it, try and help people, all their friends or family members of what right electric car to buy. But yeah, is there anything else, chaps, or shall we see everyone next week? I think we've pretty much covered it, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we're pretty well wrapped up on that. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, everyone, for contributing today. And don't forget to give us a like or subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see everyone next week. Thanks.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.